My third story is a story my mother told me that was really hilarious. Again, she was headed to the Creamy. Now, she had my granddaughter with her, and they were headed down to the Creamy. And she was in her 80s, late 80s, and she drove a Pontiac G6. She was the meanest grandma on the road. And she turns around. She gets to the Creamy. She goes to the Creamy, spends some time there with my granddaughter, and she's headed back. But there's a police officer in the middle of the road telling her that the road is closed. She's like, well, I only live my daughter's house is like a quarter of a mile from here. Is there any way that this is still open? She only lives very close to here. No, we're sorry. The road is closed. And he says, it's not far. So we're going to take you through the airport. Now, this is Turners Falls Airport. It's a little tiny airport. And you'll be able to go around it. Well, my mother gets to the corner by the tech school, if anybody knows the area. And there's a police officer that's telling her to turn right. And she's like, excuse me, I don't think I want to turn right. She said, this is a dead end. It's going to go around in a circle, and I'm going to be going back, going the same direction. Don't argue with me. You want a ticket? Look at the line. But, sir, this is a circle. Why are you sending me around in a circle? Why don't I just turn left and I'll go on my merry way? She said, I know there's like 10 cars behind me, but you're sending me to a dead-end circle. I'm going to end up going around, and I'm going to be going by you in less than 5 minutes. Well, she wasn't one to argue like I would be. And she just said, okay. So she gets, she goes around the circle, and it's about a half a mile. She comes back, and she's like, hi, it's me again, to the cop. And the cop is like, what are you doing? She said, I told you it's a circle. Well, you have to turn left here. She goes, if I turn left, I'm going to be back to the same place I was when I started. Is there another way I can get back? I mean, like I said, I'm only a half a mile from here, and my mother wasn't sure, of the way to go. Now, there is a way, but it'd be quite a ways out of your way. Instead of being a half a mile, it'd be like a 7-mile ride. But she says, maybe I can go down Lake Pleasant Road and go back down 47 and end up on the other side. And he goes, no, the road's closed there. And she goes, well, where is the road closed? And he goes, well, it's just between here and the tech school, the tech school outlet. She goes, well, then I guess when I get down the end of the street, I can turn right. Well, he was livid. So a few years go by, and again, this cop is sitting out in the middle of the road, and my mother's now living with me. She's in her 90s, and she goes, that's the same guy. And I says, excuse me, you have a police cruiser in the front of, in front of the workhorses and things. Can I go by? I mean, cars are going by, but I don't know. Don't you see other cars? They're going by. And I said, well, you've got a police cruiser here. And he's sitting in the police cruiser having himself a donut and a cup of coffee, which I thought was really funny. So I went by, and I called the police, and I said, it's bad enough that the guy's sitting in the middle of the road doing nothing when there's workhorses around, and he got really snobby to me, and he's sitting there eating a donut and drinking a cup of coffee, which is already what they say bad about the police. Well, when I came back, he was outside of the police cruiser, not drinking a coffee and not eating a donut. So that was quite funny. Now, for my next story. More years go by. This has probably now been 7 years. And I'm at the Big E. And there's a state trooper, and he's there. And he's just telling people, like, what they do. And he's showing the new police cruiser. And, he's just being nice. And I said, hi. And 2 minutes into the conversation, I realized this is the guy that was sitting there eating a donut and drinking a cup of coffee, and probably the same guy, because my mother said it was, that was driving around and setting cars to go around in a circle. So I said, did you ever work as a police officer or anything, and before? And he goes, yes, it's just up till 3 years ago, I was working for the town of Montague. Now, to say that I almost passed out, I was laughing so hard, that's the same cop.